Unit 7 Unit هفته A long time ago وقتكي دريجي چوي يعني قلق اجميجفا Listen 1 وانايكي This was a Roman town أفا شاروشككي روماني بو Past simple to be رابردوه سادة to be Was where بو Preposition of time حروف جر وقت يكات ago چوي Prepositions of place حروف جر ينجها at ال in جوردا يعني نافدا وهروسا ال Martin and some of the competitors are watching TV in the games village. Martin وهندكش منافسة هفركا يتماشي تيفي تلفزيوني دكان الجيمز village. Activity 1 راهنانا ايكي Listen and read. گوه خوب ده و بخوینه.
Unit 7, Lesson 1. Unit 7, Lesson 1. Activity 1. I'm standing in the middle of Pompeii.
أزاراوستياي ما النيفكا بومبي.
In the south of Italy.
الباشورة إيطاليا.
Pompeii was a Roman town 1900 years ago.
بومبي شاروشككي روماني بو 1900 سالن چوي. يعني بري 1900 سالة.
Bob Crancy, an expert on Roman history, is with me.
بوب كرانزي خبيرك السرمجوية روماني يلقلمن.
Bob, was Pompeii an important town?
بوب أري بومبي شاروشككي مهم بو جرينج بو؟
No, it wasn't.
نخير نا مهم بو.
The town was quite small.
شاروشكا تماما يبجيك بو يعني قلك يبجيك بو.
We think there were about 10,000 people here.
أم هزر دكن هبون دورا 10,000 خلقي لفر.
But Pompeii was full of beautiful houses.
بس بومبي يتجيبو إجمالين جوان.
Were they like our houses?
أري أو وكي مالين مبون؟
Yes and no.
بلي ونخير.
Some things were different.
هندك دشت الجواز بون.
For example?
بونمونة.
Well, in the dining rooms there were tables.
باشا الجورن فرافيني يعني خوارني هبون ميزة.
But there weren't any chairs.
بس نبون چه كرسيك.
And there were cups, plates and spoons, but there weren't any knives and forks.
وهبون كوب سينيك وكفجي بس نبون چه كيرك وچطل.
And were there any shops in Pompeii?
وأري هبون چه أسواق البومبي؟
Yes, there were shops and restaurants.
بلي هبون أسواق ومطعم خوارنجه.
And there was a big theatre too.
وهبو مسرحك مازنجي.
Pompeii was a great place.
بومبي جهكي قلق باش بو قلق خوش بو.
Then one day there was an explosion.
وباشي روجكي هبو بقينك.
An explosion?
بقينك؟
Yes. A few kilometers away there was a volcano called Vesuvius.
بلي بيچكا كيلومترا دير هبو فولكانك دقوتني فيسوفيوس.
One afternoon at 2 o'clock there was a loud explosion.
بشتي نيفروكي الساعة 2 هبو تقينكا بلند. يعني روجكي بشتي نيفرو الساعة 2 تقينكا دنگ بلند رويدا. Now complete with was, wasn't or were, weren't. نوكا تمام بكا اب بو نبو. 1. Pompeii wasn't very big. Pompeii نقلكا مزنبو. 2. There were thousands of people in Pompeii. هبون هزارا خلق البومبي. 3. There were lots of beautiful houses in the town. هبون قلق مالين جوان الشاروچكي. 4. There weren't any chairs in the dining rooms. نبون چو كرسيك الجورين فرافيني. جورين زاد خوارني. 5. Pompeii was near Vesuvius. Pompeii لنزيكي Vesuvius بو. 6. There was an explosion at 2 o'clock. هبو تقينك الساعة 2. Activity 2 راهنانا دوي Grammar file فايل رزماني Copy and complete نقلك وتمامك. choose ببجيرة wasn't was weren't or were. نبو يان بو. past simple رابردوی ساده to be. positive اره negative نره questions پرسیار short answers برسivin kurd. تبینی رامان وان دمینت لسر رسته.
Unit 7, Lesson 1, Activity 2, Past Simple, to be. I was. He was. She was. It was. We were. You were. They were.
I wasn't. He wasn't. She wasn't. It wasn't. We weren't. You weren't. They weren't. Were you?
Yes, I was.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, we were.
No, we weren't. Was he?
Yes, he was.
No, he wasn't. Was she?
Yes, she was.
No, she wasn't. Was it?
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. Were they?
Yes, they were.
No, they weren't.
listen and check. گوه خواب ده و سحكي. now go to activity book نوكا هرا پرتوكا راهنانا unit 7 lesson 1 unit هفته وانا ايكي activities 1 to 3 راهنانن ايك تاسي. activity 1 راهنانا ايكي grammar ريزمان past simple be رابردوية سادة be. read the dialogue on page 80 of the student's book and correct these statements. بخوينا دايلوغا لا بره هشته اشبرتوكا قطابي وراس بك فان داخويانيا فان حالتا. 1. Pompeii was quite small. Pompeii تماما يبچوك بو يعني Pompeii جلكا بچوك بو. 2. There were 10,000 people in Pompeii. هبون 10,000 خلق البومبي. 3. There were shops and restaurants. هبون أسواق و مطعم خوارنجه. 4. There were a volcano called Vesuvius. هبو volcanic دقودنه Vesuvius. 5. There was a loud explosion at 2 o'clock. هبو تقينكا بلند السعدو يعني تشيبو بو تقينكا بلند السعدو. Activity 2 راهنانا دوي Grammar ريزمان Past simple be رابردوية سادة be. Complete تمامك At 3 o'clock yesterday ساعة 3 دهي. 1. I was at home as المالبوم. 2. You were in the park 2 الباركي بوي. 3. He was at the shops أو الأسواق أبو. 4. She was at a restaurant أو الخوارنجة هكيبو. 5. It was in the kitchen أو المطبخ بو بو تشتي بعقل. 6. We were in the garden الحديقة بون الباخجي بون. 7. You were in the dining room 2 الجورا فرافيني بوي جورا زاد خوارني. 8. They were at school أو القطابخانة بون. 1. Were you at home أريتو المال بوي Yes I was بلي أز المال بو. 2. Was he in the park أري أو الباركي بو No he wasn't نخير أو نل الباركي بو. 3. Was she at a restaurant أري أو لخوارنجها كيبو المطعمة كيبو Yes she was بلي أو المطعمة كيبو. 4. Was it in the garden أري أو لحديقة بو No it wasn't نخير أو نل حديقة بو. 5. Were you in the kitchen أري هين لمطبخ بون No we weren't نخير أم نل مطبخ بون. 6. Were they at school أري أو لقطابخانة بون Yes they were بلي أو لقطابخانة بون. Activity 3 راهنانا سي Grammar ريزمان Past simple be رابردوية سادة be. Where were Arnie and Astrid last week? لكوفا بون آرني و آستريد هفتيا چوي اسبوعا چوي. Write sentences. بنفيسا رستا. 1. I'm in the USA. أزل أمريكا. Monday. دوشنب. On Monday, Arnie was in the USA. الدوشنبه آرني USA بو. الأمريكا بو. 2. I'm in Spain. أزال إسبانيا. Tuesday. سيشنب. On Tuesday, Astrid was in Spain. السيشنبه أستريد الإسبانيا بو. 3. We're in England. أمل إنجلترا. Wednesday. چهارشنب. On Wednesday, الچهارشنبه Arnie and Astrid were in England. Arnie و Astrid الإنجلترا بون. 4. I'm in Brazil. أزل برازيل. Thursday. بينشنب. On Thursday, البينشنبه Arnie was in Brazil. Arnie البرازيل بو. 5. I'm in Kurdistan. أزال كردستاني. Friday. أيني. On Friday, Astrid was in Kurdistan. الأينية Astrid الكردستاني بو. 6. We're in Australia. أمل أستراليا. Saturday. شنبي. On Saturday, Arnie and Astrid were in Australia. الشنبية Arnie و Astrid الأستراليا بون. Go back to students book وقري برتوكا قطابي. Activity 3. راهنانا سي. Listen and speak. گوه خوابده و باخذه. Read the text بخوينة تكستي نفسينه. Then listen and find 4 mistakes. پاشی گوه خوابده و ببینه چار خلطیه. يعني ديار بك چار خلطية.
Unit 7, Lesson 1. Activity 3. Marcus was 14 years old.
ماركوس 14 سال بو عمر.
At 2 p.m., 1900 years ago, he was in his bedroom.
الساعة 2 بشتي نيفرو 1900 سال چوي يعني بري 1900 سالة أو الجورا خويا نفسني بو.
His father was in the office and his mother was in the hall.
بابوي الأوفيسي بو المكتبة بو وديكاوي الهولي بو.
His sister, Livia, was in the garden.
خشكاوي ليفيا الباخچي بو.
And his grandfather was in the dining room.
وبابيروي الجورا زاد خوارني بو الجورا فراويني بو.
Octavia, the cook, was in the kitchen.
أوكتافيا طباخچي المطبخ بو. Answers. برسف. Marcus was in his bedroom, not in the kitchen. Marcus الجورا خويا نفستني بو نا المطبخ. His father was in his office, not in the garden. بابوي الأوفيسا خوبو نا الباخچي بو. His sister was in the garden, not in the living room. خشكاوي الباخچي بو نل جورا معيشتي بو. His grandfather was in the dining room. بابيروي الجورا زاد خوارني بو الجورا فراويني بو. Not in his bedroom. نا الجورا ويا نفستني بو. Now ask and answer. نوكا برسيار كرن و جاب دان. Was Marcus in the kitchen? أري ماركوس المطبخ بو. No, he wasn't. He was in his bedroom. نخير أو نل مطبخ بو أو الجورا خويا نفستني بو. Marcus's house in Pompeii. مالا ماركوس البومبي. Activity 4. راهنانا چاره. Sound file. فايل دنگي. Listen and repeat. گوه خواب ده و ديفتا بيجا. Weak form. شوه ضعيف. It was a small town. أوا شاروچككي بچوك بو. There was a big theater. هبو مسرحكا مظن. Strong form. شوه بقوة. Was it a big town? أري شاروچككي مظن بو. No, it wasn't. نخير أو نشاروچككي مظن بو. 1. There was an explosion. هبو تقينك. Weak. ضعيف. 2. Was she in the garden? أري أو الحديقة بو. الباخچي بو. Strong. قوة. 3. Yes, she was. بلي أو الحديقة بو. الباخچي بو. Strong. بقوة. 4. He was 14. أو 14 بو. يعني 14 سالي بو. Weak. ضعيف. Activity 5. راهنانا بينجي. Speak. باخذة. Ask and answer. برسيار كرن و جاب دان. Where were you at لكوفا بويتو time caught yesterday دهي 3 days ago سي روجين شوي يعني بري سي روجا I was as boom we were أمبون at in I was at home as المالبوم we were at home أم المالبون I was at school as القطاب خانه بوم we were at school أم القطاب خانه بوم The shops أسواق My friend's house مالا هوالي من The cinema سينما I was in the kitchen as المطبخ بوم We were in the kitchen أم المطبخ بوم I was in the garden as الباغچه بوم We were in the garden أم الباغچه بوم In the park الباركي In the bed النافجيا Look تماشاك At home المال At school القطاب خانه In bed النافجيا Now go to activity book نوكا هر پرتوكا راهنانا Unit 7 Lesson 1 Unit هفته وانايكي Activities 4 and 5 راهنانين 4 و 5 Activity 4 راهنانا 4 Grammar ريزمان Past simple B رابردوه ساده B Complete تمامك 1 Sue Martin where were you yesterday Martin لكوفا بويتو دهي Martin at 1 o'clock I was at school الساعة ايك از لقطاب خانه بوم Sue no you weren't نخير دنا لقطاب خانه بوي You were at radio WYG تو لراديو WYG بوي He wasn't at school أو نل قطاب خانه بو He was at radio WYG أو لراديو WYG بو 2 Martin at 3 o'clock I was at the games الساعة سي از لياريا بوم Sue no you weren't نخير تنا لياريا بوي You were in bed تو لناف جيابوي He wasn't at the games أو نل ياريابو He was in bed أو لناف جيابو 3 Martin at 8 o'clock I was in the garden الساعة هشت از لباغچي بوم لحديقي بوم Sue no you weren't نخير تنا لباغچي بوي You were at the cinema تو لسينما بوي He wasn't in the garden أو نا لباغچي بو أو نا لناف باغچي بو He was at the cinema أو لسينما بو 4 Martin and at 11 o'clock I was in bed و الساعة 11 أس لناف جيابوم Sue no you weren't نخير تنا لناف جيابوي You were at the restaurant تو لمطعم بوي لخوارنجه بوي He wasn't in bed أو نا لناف جيابو He was at the restaurant أو لمطعم بو لخوارنجه بو Activity 5 راهنانا بينجي Grammar ريزمان Prepositions of place حروف جر ينجها Complete with at or in توابك اب at ال يانجي in لناف 1 at school القطاب خانه 2 in bed النافجيا 3 at home المال 4 at the cinema السينما 5 in the kitchen الناف مطبخي يعني المطبخي 6 at the restaurant المطعمة الخوارنجهي 7 at my friend's house المالا هفاليخو 8 in the dining room الجورا زاد خوارنه الجورا فراوينه يعني 9 at the shops الأسواق Go back to student's book وقرأ برتوكا قطابي Activity 6 راهنانا شاشي Write بنفيسة Where were you yesterday لكوفا بويتو دهي Write sentences بنفيسة رستا Yesterday at 8 o'clock دهي الساعة هاشت I was in the kitchen as المطبخ بوم At 11 o'clock الساعة 11 Now go to activity book نوكا هرا برتوكا راهنانا Unit 7 Lesson 1 Unit هفته وانايكي Activity 6 راهنانا شاشي Activity 6 راهنانا شاشي Vocabulary مفردات لغة فرهنگوك Complete the puzzle تمام بك حيرانوكي أحجية You can find all these things in this room تو دشي ببيني ديار بكي همي وان تشتا الفي جوري 1 fork چطل 2 knife كيرك 3 table ميزة 4 cup كوب فنجان 5 chair كرسيك 6 plate سينيك 7 spoon كفجي The room is kitchen مطبخ